In the misty hills of 16th-century Hungary, hidden among forests and shadows, stood a grand castle known as Lactus. Behind its cold stone walls lived a woman whose name would be forever written in blood and legend, Elizabeth Báthory. Born in 1560 into one of Transylvania's most powerful families, Elizabeth was surrounded by immense wealth, privilege, and unimaginable cruelty. From a young age, she reportedly witnessed brutal punishments inflicted upon peasants, and some whispered that the sight of suffering brought a smile to her face. Intelligent and strikingly beautiful, she was educated far beyond most women of her time, speaking several languages fluently. At just 15, she was married to Count Ferenc Nadasdy, a fearsome soldier celebrated as the Black Hero of Hungary. This marriage was a strategic alliance, uniting two mighty dynasties and granting them dominion over vast lands and countless people. While Ferenc was away fighting wars, Elizabeth was left to manage the sprawling estates on her own. She was a young noblewoman with absolute authority over hundreds of servants and villagers, a queen in her own right. But soon, quiet whispers began to drift from the villages below the castle. Girls who went to work at Lactus were never seen again. Locals claimed that horrifying screams echoed through the castle's corridors in the dead of night. After her husband's death in 1604, the rumors intensified, growing darker and more sinister. A chilling new tale emerged. People claimed Elizabeth had become obsessed with preserving her youth and beauty. The story goes that one day, a servant girl accidentally splashed blood on her hand. Elizabeth, in a moment of vanity, believed her skin looked smoother and younger where the blood had touched it. From that day on, she began a gruesome quest for eternal youth, seeking more and more blood to maintain her beauty. It was said she even bathed in it. While there's no historical proof of these bloodbaths, the story would cement her legacy as one of the most infamous women in history, the Blood Countess. By 1610, the sheer number of disappearances could no longer be ignored. The rumors reached the highest levels of power, and King Matthias II of Hungary ordered a formal investigation. He appointed Palatine György Thurzo, a high-ranking nobleman, and, ironically, a relative of Elizabeth herself to lead it. What Thurzo uncovered was beyond anyone's worst nightmares. Over 300 witnesses came forward, their testimonies filled with chilling accounts of unspeakable cruelty. They described systematic beatings, burnings, girls frozen in ice water, and starvation. The details painted a picture of a castle turned into a personal torture chamber. Finally, Thurzo and his men raided Lactus Castle. He claimed to have found a scene of absolute horror, bodies of dead and dying girls scattered throughout the fortress, some hastily buried in shallow graves, others locked away, barely clinging to life. Elizabeth Báthory was immediately arrested, along with 4 of her trusted servants. Her aides were put on trial, where they were tortured until they confessed to helping their mistress commit these atrocities. They were then executed in brutal public displays. But Elizabeth, shielded by her noble blood and powerful family name, was never brought before formal court. A public trial of a woman of her stature would have been a scandal too great for the kingdom to bear. Instead, she was sentenced to a fate some might consider worse than death. She was confined to a single room in her own castle. The windows were bricked up, the door sealed shut, leaving only small openings for food and air to be passed through. She became a prisoner in the very place where she had once held absolute power. For 4 long years, she remained entombed in her stone cell. Then, one day in August of 1614, guards found her lifeless body on the floor. She was 54 years old. After her death, the woman Elizabeth Báthory faded, and the legend of the Blood Countess was born. She became the Gothic monster who tortured and killed hundreds of young virgins, all for the sake of vanity. Some historians credit her with the murders of more than 600 young women, earning her the grim title of the most prolific female serial killer in history. But others argue the truth is far more complicated. They suggest that Elizabeth Báthory was the victim of a political conspiracy, framed by powerful men who coveted her vast lands, immense fortune, and significant influence. These historians point out that the testimonies against her were extracted under torture, a common practice at the time, and that no physical evidence was ever presented in a legitimate court of law. So, was she a sadistic monster who turned her castle into a chamber of horrors? Or was she a powerful, independent woman whose enemies used fear and misogyny to destroy her and seize her power? The truth may be lost to time. What is certain is how her story morphed into a powerful myth, inspiring countless novels, operas, and horror films. She became a cultural icon, a female Dracula whose dark shadow haunts European history. She symbolizes the corrupting nature of absolute power, the terror of vanity, and the dark side of human nature. But perhaps, behind the legend of blood and beauty lies a deeper, more cautionary tale. A warning about what can happen when fear, greed, and superstition combine to destroy a life. 4 centuries later, the question still remains. Who was the real Elizabeth Báthory? A sadistic murderer who bathed in the blood of her victims, or a powerful woman whose enemies skillfully turned her into a monster? Her story holds up a dark mirror to our own fascination with evil, and it shows us how history can twist people into legends. In the end, only one truth endures. The name Elizabeth Báthory will forever be whispered with a mixture of fear and fascination. She is the Blood Countess, the woman who achieved immortality not through her beauty, but through her infamous legend. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as haunting as we did, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into history's darkest mysteries.